BioFi book, and we have other things. Those are all there from Regenerate Cascadia for donation only. And how you do that is through a QR code. And no, cut that.
The QR code is for the steam plant.
The QR code, how do they donate for the shred?
They just have to go and donate on the website.
Okay. So to donate for any Regenerate Cascadia swag, you have to go to the website and donate. Or PayPal or Venmo. The QR code is for donating to the Georgetown steam plant. A note on feeding. We have a food truck here from 11 till 2. If you wait for the lunch 45 minutes, you might be in line for a long time. So we want you to bring a grazing approach to how you nourish yourself. We've got snacks that are out all day. We have the food truck from 11 till 2. We also have at least 5 restaurants within less than a mile. If you find a group and you're having a great chat, feel free to take off, go for a walk, and take that into a restaurant and come back. Everything is being live streamed and everything is being recorded onto the Regenerate Cascadia YouTube channel, so you can catch up on any presentations if you choose a relational experience over a programming experience. We want you to feel free to do that and not have FOMO. And so I'm now going to ask people, we've got Regenerate Cascadia folks coming up to talk about the work that they're doing, and Michelle Lee coming up to talk about BioFi. So if you'd like to participate in this session, it's time to head on down, take a seat, and wrap up your conversations. Or take them out, upstairs to the boiler room, or into the engine room, or anywhere else. Hey, Susan. Hey, Susan. So any of our volunteers or people working on the team, if you could start to remind people to take their seats and come towards the front, because it's nicer then. Yes, I moved on. But if you could just head up there and start practicing out and in. Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Give a big Yahoo if you can hear me. Okay, so most of you are listening, so come on down the front or wherever you're cozy and then wrap up your conversations. Or take them out into the engine room. All right, so do you want us on?
And then where's the...
Oh, right. Yeah, you got it. That's how it works. You don't have to point on the screen. You point it over there. Yeah, okay. But it works.
Well, welcome everybody. And thank you so much for everybody to join us for a very unique weekend experience. We know that this is not a traditional venue, and we might have chosen it for that reason. And I think one of the big reasons that we decided to choose the Georgetown steam plant is because when we talk about regeneration, that conversation has to start here. And I think a lot of people, when they talk about regeneration, might get a picture of a rural, a farm, a back to the land movement. But we find that every different conversation or topic that we're going to talk about has intersection points here in the Duwamish River Valley and here at the Georgetown steam plant. When we talk about bioregional finance, what we're talking about is healing. When we talk about regeneration, we're talking about healing our relationships with each other, our connections and relationships with land, and our relationships to heal the trauma, and especially as it involves money, and how we can actually find support for people doing the work as guided by them to see them resourced, supported, visualized, and connected into a much broader picture. So here in the Duwamish River Valley in the Georgetown steam plant, when this plant was built, there was a Duwamish River across the way, and the river was not straightened yet. More than that, this is the home of the Duwamish people and the traditional territories of the Coast Salish people who have been here since time immemorial. More than that, this river was straightened, and so the wetlands filled in with artificial till from tearing down the Denny regrade and building the capital kind of when they regraded Capitol Hill. So it's all artificial till. It was a manufacturing site for Boeing in the 1940s, which turned it into a Superfund site. So the soil is toxic. It's the home of more than 80% of heavy industry in King County, in Seattle, and the Duwamish River Valley. So everybody living here is a frontline community. The average health expectancy for someone who lives in Georgetown or South Park is 8 years lower than the rest of Seattle. So these are very real conversations. And more than that, by being a Superfund site, it's also the home of the Port of Seattle. And so when they talk about cleaning it up, if we're not involved in that conversation, if we don't talk about dredging, their answer and solution is to dredge the port, make it deeper so that they can bring in bigger ships from China. And yet, each one of these issues is the reason why change is possible, and in ways here that we think is important that isn't actually possible in other ways. We have an outsized impact because all of those things intersecting here between tribal, city, county, state, federal, as well as the nonprofit organizations, the community groups, the people living here, gives us an opportunity to talk about regeneration in different ways and truly weave together a landscape movement for how we can talk about this and create solutions. So all of these reasons are why we chose the Georgetown steam plant, and we've been so happy with the partnership that Debbie and Khalil and their whole team and Sam have provided. So thank you everybody for joining us. And I wanted to just start off today with a quote. A growing number of people are recognizing that to secure the clean air, water, and food we need to survive healthfully, we have to become guardians of the places where we live. People sense the loss in not knowing our neighbors and natural surroundings and are discovering that the best way to take care of ourselves is to go out and take action for ourselves. When we define our places using the earth as the frame of reference, taking into account flora, fauna, landforms, climate, and so on, we are talking in terms of bioregions. Can we move from our status as internal colony of the American and Canadian industrial system, used for resource extraction, technology services, and holiday vacationing, to a more self-reliant and self-determining bioregional community? Can we gain greater control over common destiny? Can we? Perhaps. But it all depends. It depends on what we do and how we do it. The challenge of change is great. Without a clearly articulated collective vision for what we want to do and coordinated strategies for how to move forward, our ability to effect deep and widespread change is stymied. Is there a way to create greater connective tissue between various parts of our movements for change so that we can strengthen and nourish one another? Can we inject a clear and comprehensive agenda for change into the stale debate that passes for politics these days? These are the questions and challenges that we must face, and it is in the hope that we have gathered over the past month and here tonight, not as an answer to this debate, but hopefully to open up a conversation. It is up to Cascadians, each in their own way, to create and promote these changes and lead the way forward, rather than to wait for someone else to do it for us. Those words were spoken at the first Cascadia BioRegional Congress in 1986. And those words were written by Lansing Scott, who's joining us here with a bioregional elders panel, who's going to be gathering here tonight as part of our later Cascadia Day celebrations, which we happen to celebrate every May 18th. And so we're having a potluck that's starting at 5, and we're going to have some really cool presentations, storytelling, and music in the engine room starting at about 5:45 or 6. We have Paul Chiokin-Wagner, a storyteller who's going to open us up. We have Joel with the crowdsourced choir who's going to play piano and do call and response music in the engine room. It's a very cool experience and highly recommended. And then we'll go into that elders panel, and then we have Paul Nelson with the Cascadia Poetics Lab, who's put together a beautiful reading of Cascadia poets, who's going to talk about how we animate this region. So just a big shout out and thank you to everybody who's helping make this whole day and evening such a cool happening. And gets hungry, there is a Thai food truck outside. Oh, yeah, sorry. And at 5 o'clock, we have a potluck starting. And so there's lots of food coming. And hopefully other people are bringing some food, but we've got Ayad Syrian Grill. And so we're going to have at least, some good food.
Yeah.
And with that, I just wanted to start by, so I think I'm so happy with the opening of the morning and really helping set the context of bioregionalism and bioregionalism as a two-eyed way of seeing. So I just wanted to open this session by setting some context for our place, for our bioregion, and for our home. And so to start with, Cascadia is a bioregion defined through the watersheds of the Snake, Fraser, and Columbia rivers, stretching all the way from southeast Alaska down to Cape Mendocino and as far east as Yellowstone. We talk about Cascadia as a bioregion, and bioregions are kind of neat because they're not just arbitrary lines on a map. And in fact, if you look at it from space, they emerge. And they emerge from the landscapes of many different layers. It's not just one layer or one line, but many things coming together that help us define our boundaries of home. So firstly, we talk about the watersheds. And more than just the Columbia, Snake, and Fraser, it's all of the different watersheds through the Salish Sea and that extend through some of the oldest and long-standing temperate rainforests. We start with the oldest lines, the geology, the plate tectonics. It doesn't just stop when the land ends, but rather it stretches all the way to the Cascadia subduction zone. It's about these really hard, jagged lines that have created the mountains and the valleys that help shape the flow of the water and the air and the soil and the internal systems that call this place home. So here we see the geology. And here we see all of these different amazing mountains which give us identity and shape. This starts with some of the oldest stories of this place. And that's the story of glaciers that 15,000 years ago came in and carved out the fjords and the home that we now call the Salish Sea. More than that, all the way from Yellowstone, these glaciers came down and there were great ice lakes that flooded and dammed and flooded and dammed and flooded again. And the indigenous people of this land still have memories, living memories of those events, because they have been living here for more than 1,000 generations, and they have stories of these great floods. And those floods came through and carved out the Columbia River, and is why we have such an interconnected area and why we need to talk about Cascadia as an entire bioregion. More than that, when you start to talk about these hard lines, it starts to direct the flow of wind, of soils, of waters, and then from that we get our ecosystems, our forests, and how that affects our precipitation and our food. And then it affects the salmon and all of the different inhabitants that call this place home. That in turn affects how people have lived here and unique contexts of place, of ways that we are adapted to living in different spots and different technologies that will be special and in celebration of the uniqueness of place. And this affects our culture and how we live today. It affects how we talk and how we spend money and our regional economies and our transportation grids all together. It affects our culture and our sports and our music and our food. And then it's just really important that I think a lot of people I think are really rooted in this arbitrary political lines and divide. And bioregionalism brings us together based on commonalities and shared frameworks of place. It's our language, it is our music, it is our food. And we use these to break down these arbitrary boundaries and borders and then work together in a whole landscape, whole system, whole watershed lens. This is our energy. We cannot have a conversation about sustainability, regeneration, how we regenerate our landscapes. We cannot have a conversation about food, about drought, about forest fires, if we're not having that conversation with every community impacted along the watershed. And I want to put this in context, because more than ever before, it is important that we are having bioregional conversations. Nature acts on the scale of watersheds, ecoregions, bioregions, And so if we want to talk about any of the things that are important to us, we need to as well. So just to put this in context, bioregions are visible from space. And more than that, more than a place, Cascadia is a movement. And Cascadia is an identity that has been growing here for more than 4 decades. And it's about, rather than being American or Canadian, we are citizens of our watersheds. And we are citizens of our place.
Can we cheer this?
Yeah. And this is a grassroots movement that we are all building together. Not one, not two, but together with a shared North Star, shared principles and values, so that we can all be working in our ecological niches, but towards the same goals, and in regenerative principles that are support each other and see people held. If you happen to see this, we get a lot of questions about it, but I just wanted to share, this is our Cascadia duck flag. It is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year, designed in 1995 by Alexander Baratek in Portland. It's just green for the forest, white for the mountains, blues for the water, and the Douglas fir because it grows out throughout. So the goal of this is not another flag draped in nationalism or anything, but rather a bioregional symbol, kind of rooted in the values that we want to promote.
Yeah.
And so you will see this for helping defend and support frontline communities. Yeah. You will see this helping to inspire and bring people together. This is about bringing together the community, and also, more than a movement and an identity, it becomes a shared vision that we can be working towards all together. And also, if you're unaware, we celebrate Cascadia Culture Week and Cascadia Day every May 18th as a celebration of the articulations and the geologic diversity. So you didn't know it, but you're all joining us for a Cascadia Day celebration right now. Trick. And lastly, and I kind of mentioned this, but I think this is also really important to center, that Cascadia and the Salish Sea are bioregional frameworks which help us to break down these arbitrary nation-state borders. Borders that right now are hardening, and that this cooperation across borders has never been more important before. The Salish Sea, the Coast Salish people have lived here since time immemorial. The Salish Sea has been here since time immemorial, and yet it was created. It was actively created. At the same time of these bioregional congresses, we had a group of people starting in 1986 and 1987 that wanted to help redefine the Salish Sea from the Puget Sound, south of the border, and the Strait of Georgia and all the rest of it north of the border. And they wanted to break that down and instead help us recognize a shared ecosystem. And so they worked for decades, partnering with indigenous nations, partnering with academics, partnering with communities and organizations. And in 2007, 8, and 9, the Salish Sea was officially recognized by Washington State, by British Columbia, by the geographer associations. And this is an example of a bioregional framework. And that takes us to another point, that bioregions are for more than just humans. So, what about all the other inhabitants of this place? What do they need? What does it mean to be a salmon nation? What's the bioregion of a humpback or a gray whale? What does that look like? And when we start to center not just the human communities of our bioregions, we can also see all of our interconnected, interdependent bioregions that we need to start considering to really start to regenerate this place. Not just to survive, but to thrive. And the last thing I just kind of wanted to touch on and give context to, that this idea of Cascadia is rooted in an idea called bioregional mapping. And that's the idea that we need to make our own maps. That governments and corporations will not do it for us. That maps have agenda and they have purpose. And oftentimes, that is not necessarily aligned with the things that we find special. So we need to create our own maps, because if we can't map the things that we find special to each other, then how do we expect for someone else to do it for us? If we can't define what a regenerative future looks like in our own roadmaps, how do we expect someone else to do it for us? And just lastly, I really wanted to touch on this idea of bioregions as part of nested scales. The word doesn't matter. Bioregion just means life place. But within that, we have nested scales that we take action. We have watersheds, we have regional ecosystems, we have the different life places of animals and inhabitants, and all of these fit into a series of nested scales going from local landscape to the Salish Sea to the Cascadia Bioregion as part of North America, as part of the world. And so all together, we can be activating and working in our own landscape, but as part of this broader collective vision. And lastly, I just wanted to touch on that Cascadia is not doing this alone. Right now, there are hundreds and thousands of people tuning into this idea. People are looking, oh yeah, sorry. Okay, cheer. People are tuning into this idea of bioregionalism all over the world. And they are learning about it for the first time. And they are looking to bioregional movements that have existed for decades. And we are working together, and they are looking and learning, and we are all learning together, and they're learning from us, and we're learning from them. And so everywhere around the world, everyone lives in a bioregion. And together we are building bioregional networks that span North America and span continents and span the planet. Woo! And lastly, and Martin Kirk touched on this, but this is part of a planetary regeneration strategy.
Yeah.
We have 7 of the 10 world's largest carbon storing forests here in Cascadia. Cascadia is a thin green line between resource extraction to the east and global ports and extractive economies in Asia. So what we do here matters. We have 2 of the 3 deep water ports in North America. So what we do here matters. And it doesn't just matter, but we have an outsized impact. More than that, the Great Lakes holds 20% of the world's fresh water. Working with the Ogallala Bioregion and the aquifer, that aquifer helps grow food for the heartland of North America, helping to feed more than 1 billion people. Working with the Amazon headwaters, working with the tundra and other things, what you see starting to develop is a strategic vision for interventions to help regenerate not just Cascadia, but the planet. And within that, that leads us to our latest and most important program that we've launched. So 2 years ago, we started a bioregional activation tour. And I was able to meet my co-administrator, Claire Atwell, and our other organizer, Taya Seidler. And we helped organize a regeneration tour that traveled to 14 communities in 30 days and met with more than 1,000 people. We worked with almost 100 people to help organize the tour, and we've been working with hundreds of people since then who have been helping catalyze and organize their landscape, helping grow this vision together. And with that, I would like to turn it over to my co-administrator, Claire.
Thank you, Brandon. That was amazing. And it's one of the things, we've got people from the enterprise where Brandon and I met 2 and a bit years ago. Tara was one of the people, Cheryl Chang was there. And when Brandon and I first met, we both had projects we were bringing, and decided we realized that we were holding different parts of a story that we both were able to tell in a way that complemented each other, and that we felt was a really important thing to lift up. And so I'm going to speak to that side. But I just really want to speak to a relationship as well, is that none of us can do any of this work by ourselves. And when we do find people that we can that can help hold different parts of the story, it allows us to hold the pieces that then start to become a basin of attraction for telling the story better. Yeah, so what Brandon was talking about was showing the land working as a whole system. And just like a body, when we're wanting to heal the body, when we're wanting to look at how do we restore health, it's like you look at it as a whole system, you don't just treat one part. And similarly with the land, it's a really, really powerful idea when people start to understand that the land is working as a whole system and that the land can help to organize people if we know how to listen to the intelligence of the land. And it allows us to bring polarized perspectives together, because when it's place-based, not somewhere 2,000 miles away where they have no idea what's happening there, but they're actually people living in the land seeing what's happening. That's really, really powerful. And people can see right away that intractable problems can actually start to be looked at as not blaming other people, but actually, you know, when things start to go wrong, it doesn't help to blame others. It helps to actually just start to figure out how to do the work. And that's what we've forgotten how to do, is we've forgotten how to cooperate, how to work in a really effective way with our governance systems. And so that brings up the part that I'm really passionate about, which is so much of what we do in the Western world is in our heads, and we kind of forget that we're attached to our body. And we have so much intelligence in our bodies, and then we have so much intelligence between all of us when we start to actually bring that together. And so together we start to hold this collective potential that we keep losing because we don't have those systems in place. And that is essential if we don't start to understand how to work in a pro-social way, in a way that makes you feel joyful and that you're drawing on the emotions and that body intelligence. One of the ways that we do that is the arts can be this way of holding what is important, what the vision of a community is. And so when you came in, you were greeted by this incredible community art project that's been going since 2010 and is meant to, it's created by communities all over North America, and each panel represents a living being. That's the artist that did that panel had a relationship with in some way. And so you're greeted by being immersed in some of the panels. There are hundreds of panels now, so you're just seeing a fraction of them. But there's a celebration to the arts. There's a way of lifting up the sense that life is interconnected. We've had so much beautiful just talking this morning on the interconnectedness of life. But art can also hold the deep layers of complexity, the symbolism, the things that you don't just get out of a conference or the talking. It's, we can have an idea, but then an idea then needs to expand into a group of people being able to hold that idea, and then things that go awry, and then there's the problem solving that happens. There's like a level of complexity that over the years, over generations, over millennia, start to hold a wisdom. And the arts sometimes can capture some of that, and our bodies know it. So that's why the arts have been such an important part of what we're doing here. No.
Okay. Just say a few words.
Thank you.
I'll stay up here. So I think I just want to speak to the three of us and what we represent and what we're discovering in our work. We are an intergenerational team. We're roughly about a decade between each of us, give or take. And our job is to hold a lot of tensions and spectrums in our work. Brandon can do 7,000 things really quickly for literally 20 hours a day. And Claire, my favorite saying from Claire is, we got to make sure we're not just rearranging chairs on the deck of the Titanic, right? Because you can get real busy, and as you move into the short-term urgency, the systems that we've been inculcated in live inside of us, and before you know it, you've gotten off track a little. And so Claire holds the role of keeping us true to the culture transformation and the ways of being, and modeling what it is to be human and to be co-learning together and co-exploring. And what's my role? I think I'm a bit of a weaver. I try and bridge the system between the two of us, the three of us relationally, make sure that our strategic impact in terms of our long-term vision and our short-term work matches the medium, and that we don't sort of lose focus. And also to keep building the cultural DNA inside our team, which includes Andra and Ben and Polly and Lisa, and Corey has been with many people that are connected, and of course all the people on this map in landscape groups. And so we're three people that represent a bioregional organizing team that is helping to build capacity across a network of bioregional organizing teams. And each team holds the story of place, holds the relationships, the groups, the voices that need to be represented in that area. It's truly a mycelial endeavor. You got something else to? Yeah.
Yeah, and just one of the, is this on?
Yeah, just go close to me.
So one of the things,
Is this, here, just pop onto this one.
is that it does take holding a movement to get it started, but it will not just be Brandon, myself, and Taya. We're building to the point where we can hold the governance of an entire bioregion. And so Bioregional Congress, there's a whole history of what that could look like. But I think that's really important to just say, is that it does, all of us find ourselves in situations where we need to step up, and that's what we found ourselves in.
And so this is a great segue to bring Michelle Lee up onto the stage. I met Michelle Lee, I know Michelle Lee as a member of a bioregional organizing team. I'm working in Green Valley, California with the Re-Village template. Also as a key member in the BioFi project and helping to lead out around that new template. And Michelle, I'd love to welcome you to the stage and have you introduce yourself in the way you feel called to in this moment. And get us started on this notion of what is BioFi, because we're co-creating that together. What's happened to the clicker? Brandon, do you have the clicker? You got the clicker. He's doing a million things all at once.
Good catch.
A new one? It's listed on the sheet. Yeah. Okay, great. We'll get your slides going over here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's see. Hello, everyone. How are we doing? Yes, trying to do some crowd work. Yeah. Oh, we're up. We're ready to go. I was gonna riff or something, but I just want to say thank you for everybody that was up here before, speaking and sharing. Brandon for setting the context, talking about our essence and our story of place from different perspectives. I love that how you started us with the geological time. Millions and billions of years, and how the geology informs the biology, right? The plants and the animals that took root in each of our bioregions. And from there, then, the humans, the culture that derived and developed because of the place and the biology and the economies. Just quick check-in. How you doing? How's your body? Do you need to move, stretch a little?
Oh yeah, I want to stretch.
I'm just saying, you get so heady, energy in, and you need I'm seeing wiggles and movements. Excellent, great. Feel free to do that whenever you want throughout this conversation. Okay, hello, I'm Michelle Lee. I am a part of the BioFi project, as well as the Re-Village Green Valley. I'm also the founder of Studio Rye, which is a regenerative strategy, development, and design consultancy. And I was raised on the sand and the sun and the salt of the Pacific Ocean by Taiwanese immigrants. I live on the ancestral territories of the Ramaytush Ohlone in San Francisco. I was educated by the Redwoods in Northern California, what I like to call the Redwood Nation, that is nested within Salmon Nation, and just shy of Cascadia BioFi. I want to acknowledge and thank the Duwamish people for inviting us to gather here on their lands, ancestral lands and waters. Thank you. I'm honored and delighted to be here to help set a little context on bioregional finance or BioFi. And I have the unenviable slot of going right before lunch. I know that I stand between you and that Thai food truck or other places a mile away from here. So I'm going to just need you to bear with me a little bit, give me a little bit extra energy and juice, and we're going to do this together, yeah? I'd like to start us somewhere a little bit different. I'd love to do a grounding to wake us up to the aliveness of each of our places. When we're talking about places, let's feel it. Will you envision with me?
Yeah.
Okay. I invite you to close your eyes, settle in. I want you to bring to mind a little movie of your beloved place. Maybe it's a city or a town or a region. What is it bound by naturally, culturally? What makes this place beloved to you? What do locals love about this place? Now, I want you to think of a neighboring place, maybe it's a town or a region, and when an out-of-towner comes and says oh yeah, those are the same thing, right? And you're like, absolutely not. Well, what makes your place different from its neighbors? And finally, if your place was a person, inspirited with personality and idiosyncrasies, alive because it is, what would it be? How would it describe itself? What is the essence of this place? And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. During our time together, try to hold on to that feeling of care and love you have for your beloved place. All right. What happens when our finances and economics are based on the uniqueness of each of our places? What if our financial processes and institutions were designed to service a multi-generational, multi-species, thriving bioregional economy, increasing its vitality, its viability? I'd love to share some examples of how communities and bioregional teams are exploring these very questions right now and have been. Then I'll share the nuts and bolts of bioregional finance and some of the thinking and tools put forth by the BioFi project to support the bioregional movement and the teams globally. And we'll end on how we might start envisioning what bioregional finance as a philosophy, a process, systems and tools and instruments can do for your beloved place. So the first three examples are going to demonstrate bioregional teams that are working within the same nested holes. You've heard a couple of them today. They're working at different scales, and each one is interpreting and tuning bioregional finance approaches based on the context of their bioregions and their scales, their places. All right, up first, I'm going to take you to Village, Green Valley. Imagine you're in San Francisco Bay Area. Let's go an hour and a half north by a beautiful scenic drive into West Sonoma County. Okay, imagine a vacant lot in the middle of this tiny little town. It was formerly a gas station. It's been empty for 30 years for remediating the soil in the ground. Now, imagine it transformed, vibrant, alive, kids running around, because it is the new town square. There's potlucks and gatherings, and the local bands and musicians play on the community-built stage. This was once a pass-through town and is now becoming a vibrant hub rooted in community, creativity, and care. Village is revitalizing the town of Grayton through common spaces, shared ritual, and infrastructure aligned with a community-sourced 7 generations vision. Their dual financing model is a nonprofit trust and a public benefit venture studio. They're working hand in hand to support community ownership and regenerative development, starting with the town square. Up next is the fire station that has been empty for over a decade. And imagine the community getting its first coffee shop, as well as maker spaces. Now, Green Valley is Grayton is a tiny little town, but the possibilities because of what it is exploring is beautiful and significant. There are over 16,000 small towns across America. Right? These are towns that have been emptied out because of industrial and ag infrastructure. And imagine those being re-imbued and rebirthed and rerouted into creative, community-centered villages. So what Green Valley and Green Village is about is rerouting and remembering and revillaging. Okay, up next, we're going to zoom out and scale. And we're going to talk about salmon returns. You're going to hear more about this tomorrow from co-founder Cheryl, but I couldn't help but be a hype woman, such a fan. We are in the middle of a historic transfer of wealth as baby boomers retire. There's over $250 billion just in dormant donor-advised funds that are waiting to be activated. This is part of the opportunity. Salmon Returns is a bioregional fund, regeneration fund, working across Salmon Nation, from California to Alaska, where the wild salmon has traditionally thrived. It is aiming to return financial capital and decision-making power back to indigenous and local communities. It acts as a catalyst and is a place-based intermediary and blended capital fund, bridging philanthropic and catalytic and public and private capital to grassroots leadership, community-rooted enterprises, and ecological restoration. At their core, it is to support communities by securing stewardship of the natural and the built assets that form the backbone of regenerative economies. There's the forests and the farms and the food hubs, energy microgrids, healing centers, housing cooperatives. Next, Regenerate Cascadia, right here. Woo! First, thank you so much for gathering us, Regenerate Cascadia. This is our first Cascadia BioFi Conference. It is incredible. Thank you. In addition to events such as this, part of Regenerate Cascadia's holistic approach to bioregional regeneration is their Cascadia BioFi program. This is a key initiative aiming to create community-led, trust-based funding ecosystems through bioregional financing facilities, or BFFs, that support regenerative projects. I'm going to talk about BFFs in very short, and just right away. At the heart of this Cascadia BioFi program are 4 explorations, real quick. The Cascadia Regeneration Fund, a funding ecosystem and investment network aimed to connect funders and opportunities. The Cascadia Flow Fund, which is a funding mechanism that flows resources directly to individuals through trust-based philanthropy. And then finally, the Cascadia Fundraising Bureau, which is to develop fundraising and grant management literacy and capacities amongst the Regenerate Cascadia groups and leaders. Okay, so we just talked about 3 bioregional organizing teams that are nested within the same, but at different scales. Now we're going to travel down with the whales and the birds that are migrating down to Amazon Sacred Headwaters Alliance in South America. ASHA is an unprecedented alliance of 30 indigenous nations and peoples from Peru and Ecuador. It is one of the world's largest indigenous-led forest protection initiatives. It has been organizing for over 3 decades. ASHA is creating a bioregional fund, the Bioregional Plan 2030, to realize the implementation of their 700-page plan to permanently protect 83 million acres that are at the headwaters of the Amazon River. This is a size That is a size larger than Italy. They're aiming to raise $20 million in 2026. And the BioFi project is so honored to work side by side with ASHA to design, build, and fund this bioregional fund. Yeah. So these are just 4 examples of the incredible bioregional organizing teams engaged in ongoing processes and efforts to regenerate biocultural economies from the uniqueness of their places. The BioFi project is currently working with 22 teams across the Americas in our cultivator program. More on this later too. Okay, so allow me now to share some of the nuts and bolts of bioregional finance and the heart of it, what we call these bioregional financing facilities, or BFFs. I want to just preface this part of the talk for a moment. We're going to get into the instruments and the tools and the means to evolve our financial and economic systems. And basically, I'm going to get a little bit nerdy here. But I want you to stay with me because it's really important and exciting, and it can be. There's lots of possibilities here. Right? This is an incredible time. There is so much collaboration, multilateral learning, innovation. There is heart, creativity, and determination that is happening now with bioregioning. And I'm sharing these instruments and these tools and mechanics of BioFi so that you too can be more creative in how you tap into collective intelligence and weave all that's available to us in service to life in each of our beloved places. So, bioregional finance is a place-based, place-sourced approach to finance and economics. BioFi aims to redirect the flows of capital, financial capital, to the flows of life. More specifically, BioFi is a framework for organizing the flow of financial and multi-capital resources towards the regeneration of ecosystems and cultures and communities grounded in each bioregion. BioFi was born from the realization that very few capital holders and influencers globally were deploying capital in alignment with living systems thinking and approaches that actually sees the earth as living, breathing, sacred, interconnected, alive, this organism which humans have a role to play. And broadly, it is a philosophy, and that is informed by living systems thinking, bioregionalism, indigenous ways of knowing, wisdom and science, permaculture, regenerative economics, the rights of nature, and decolonial theory, as well as nonviolence and social justice. It is asking for radically rethinking the purpose of our financial institutions and economics. So again, how would we design financial processes and institutions to serve that multi-generational, multi-species thriving bioregional economies? How would we create and flow capital? And how do we invest in the wealth-generating capabilities of places and people? It is a shift from globalized, homogenized, and abstract structures rooted in reductionism to and towards place-based, relational, anti-fragile, community-owned economies aligned with living systems and planetary consciousness. So central to bioregional finance is the case for creating a new layer in the financial architecture with bioregional financing facilities, or BFFs for short. So we take a look at this nifty diagram. It's a new type of financial institution designed to enable the flow of resources from centralized pools of capital to the grassroots regenerative projects and initiatives in alignment with those living system principles and indigenous wisdoms and practice. So again, the BFFs can be this trunk, the trunk of the tree, the connective tissue, right, between the branches or the diverse sources of financial resources, transporting it down to the roots, the regenerators, the on the ground, through portfolios of community-coordinated programs and projects. there are 3 objectives of BFFs. 1, decentralized financial resource governance. 2, yes. I got some cheers.
I know what that means, and it's awesome.
Man, you are with me. I was like, we're getting to the nuts and bolts. This is the part where people, and getting cheers for decentralized finance. Excellent. 2 is to aggregate synergistic portfolios of regenerative initiatives. Yes, how do we bundle? And then 3, this is great. 3 is to support the transition to bioregional regenerative economies.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go a little bit into each one, so we're like, what does this mean? Okay, number 1, objective 1, decentralized financial resource governance, means to move the distribution of finance decision-making authority as well as the management responsibilities away from centralized top-down authority and toward local self-determination supported by collective intelligence across scales. That collective intelligence is like so important, right? It's not just collective intelligence of people, but all species and this land. It aims to improve the effectiveness and responsiveness of resource allocation in delivering regeneration and resilience. And it is directly aiming to shift the current unsustainable power imbalance inherent in economic inequality and abstraction. That is built into the current structure of our global financial system. All right, 2, aggregating synergistic portfolios of regenerative initiatives. Bioregions can identify and organize these synergistic portfolios, or think bundles, of projects to create cascading benefits that advance biocultural regeneration and systems change. And BFFs can serve an important role in promoting the transparent exchange of knowledge and experience between these initiatives and projects and efforts. This is a really important element of realizing possible synergies and creating those cascading benefits that enable co-evolution between the projects. How do we learn from each other and start getting into that collaboration and multilateral learning and sharing? And then 3 is that support to the transition to bioregional regeneration economies. This is a shift from the dependence on a globally embedded, extractive, brittle economy to a more place-based, sovereign, resilient economy supportive of regeneration of cultures and ecologies. Regenerative economies strengthen the relational fabric of a given place by acknowledging the diverse forms of value, cultural, spiritual, political, ecological, not just financial, that exist there. They recognize the value exists within the relationships rather than reducing everything to an abstracted, or rather than reducing everything to abstracted parts whose value can be measured in dollars. Right? The value is in relationality as opposed to just. Such an economy becomes increasingly self-reliant, and over time, staying within its ecological boundaries without compromising the ability of other bioregions and future generations to meet their needs. We have 12 attributes of BFFs. I'm going to name a few, and then I'm going to direct you to the ebook titled Bioregional Financing Facilities, Reimagining Finance to Regenerate Our Planet. This was written by Samantha Power. She is also the founder of the BioFi project, as well as Leon Seafeld. It is a free book to download, the ebook, and it's already on the Cascadia, this conference's homepage, so you can just go there, click it, and download it, and start reading. And I also saw copies here. Very exciting. Okay, so I'm just going to name a few because who wants to listen to me, list out 12 things. So 1 is to aim to align with living systems principles and indigenous wisdom. 3, implement an inclusive and participatory governance structure that represents the bioregion. 4, work to shift power imbalances. 5, be transparent and enable empowered participation. 6, leverage an integrated capital structure that embeds regenerative principles. 7, I love this one. Treat growth and returns as a means, not an end. And 11, invest in storytelling. And then there are 4 templates for BFFs. These are examples that people can play and explore with. They are not to be prescriptive, but meant to be exploratory. There are bioregional trusts, venture studios, investment companies, as well as banks. I'll let you also read more in the ebook. Or actually, I'm seeing posters around too. Okay, this is the audience participation check-in moment. A little bit of test, I'm kidding. Okay, how many objectives are there for BFFs? Ooh, yes, we have 3 objectives. 3 objectives for BFFs. How many attributes are there? That's right, there are 12. And how many proposed templates? 4. Hooray, 2 points for everyone. Okay, reminder, BFFs are sourced from the uniqueness of place, and they're guided by indigenous wisdom and science that invites us into kinship with the rest of nature. Indigenous peoples in many places may be leading, co-leading, or advising BFFs. This will look different in different places. But we really believe that indigenous participation is crucial for BFFs to truly invest in ways that recognize the interconnectedness of life. Okay, now let's take a look at some of the ways that the BioFi project is supporting bioregional regeneration and the teams that are on the ground doing this incredible work. The BioFi project is actively working to build BFFs and a network of these organizing teams from across the Americas, spanning from Argentina all the way to Alaska. They are building on decades of grassroots regenerative work. And we seek to create coherence across these interdependent efforts and cultivate a shared bioregional identity and engage in the inquiry and practice of creating bioregional economies. So one of the ways that we're doing this is through the BioFi Cultivator. In January, we launched the BioFi Cultivator program with 22 bioregional organizing teams. This is not an accelerator because you can't accelerate nature, but rather it is a co-voyage where we are learning and designing and raising capital together. Our purpose of the cultivator is to work at the speed of trust, to accelerate anti-fragile and investment-ready bioregional regeneration facilities, or BFFs, that catalyze the transition to bioregional regenerative economies. This is a map of those 22 bioregional organizing teams. I know it's small, but you can go to the website to see more. They're doing it's so inspiring and powerful. I'll say a little bit more. Through the cultivator, the BioFi project is walking alongside these teams to develop and design and capitalize the world's first BFFs. This includes supporting the 22 teams in all different ways, hard and soft ways, how they might design and develop and deepen relational decision-making processes, build institutions, create bioregional regeneration strategies, map assets and risks, develop storytelling, and then of course raise financial resources. And through this, we are nurturing this global network of solidarity amongst bioregions and BFFs and new financial products to invest in. Another effort is the co-design partnerships. We're walking deeply side by side with 2 teams in particular right now, Salmon Returns and Asha, and through the journey of bringing to life a BFF through this process. There's also the community of practice. We are growing a BioFi movement, and part of that is this community of practice. We are 600 people and growing. Yeah, it was quick. And growing, come join. And we're supporting practitioners who are developing, designing, and capitalizing BFFs through peer-to-peer learning, as well as coordination. And also, we are building a network of capital holders that are committed to flowing resources back to the places from which wealth has been extracted. If any of this speaks to you, as you hold your beloved places in mind, there's lots of different ways to get involved. You can join or catalyze a bioregional organizing team where you are. You can crowdfund a project in your bioregion and steward the resources raised with your community in new ways. Or you can join the BioFi community practice. We hold monthly deep dive calls. There's a robust, active online community. And recently we launched on the website a resource garden, which is chock full of resources. Go there to your heart's content. We're also, if you're a bot or bioregional organizing team or a designer of BFFs, or you're a funder and you want to work with us, or if you're a funder and you want to work directly with BFFs, please come find me, reach out to the BioFi project, please talk to us, don't be shy, we are here in support of this work. Okay, home stretch. BioFi offers a practical path forward for creating economic and financial systems in service to life. It is a place-based and place-sourced approach to finance and economics. I'd like to read you a quote. Money is like water. It is a precious, life-giving resource. Money should be a tool of love that facilitates relationships and helps us thrive, rather than something that hurts and divides us. If we use it for sacred, life-giving purposes, it can be medicine. Edgar Villanova, Decolonizing Health. And so I'll ask again, what happens when our finances and our economics are based on the uniqueness of each place? What if our financial processes and institutions were designed to serve a multi-generational, multi-species, thriving, bioregional economy? So to close, we're closing. I invite you to close your eyes again and return to your beloved place. Can you see your place alive with a unique way of being, with an essence? What is it seeking to become? What does it want to evolve towards? If it could speak to you and asked you to help it steward its evolution, what are all the creative, collective ways and resources you could bring to the table with others? Yes, financial, but also spiritual, cultural, social. And it's not just what we bring, but how. How we create is what we create. So listen to it speak to you. You just heard examples of other bioregions listening deeply to their places, stepping into new roles and trying out different tools and instruments to bring more vitality and viability to their places. How might a bioregional finance approach support the evolution of your place in Cascadia? Your beloved place needs you as much as you need it. What shifts in you realizing that it needs you? You may open your eyes when you're ready. So as we step into lunch, share with each other what you just saw in your mind's eye. Share what your beloved place is seeking to evolve and become, and how bioregional financing might support its evolution. I think that'd be an amazing lunchtime fodder and conversation. As the organizer said, the programming is the programming, but this is really about the networking and the weaving and the conversations and the relationships. We are midwives in the birth of a larger, deeper, more resilient, more kind, and caring kind of order. It is capable of regenerating the conditions of life, life that is vital, that is healthy, that is beautiful. And we can contribute to the abundance of life. I'm so honored to be here with you. Thank you.
Okay, so what? So when I got taken back to my favorite place, my beautiful fur companion, who's decided to spend her days with me, came back. I'm a little teary, but she's back in Australia. Anyway, can we get the house slides back up at your leisure, Stephen? So that concludes our morning session. Was about bringing to you what we think are the absolute foundational principles of bioregional finance. Two-eyed way of seeing. A funder's perspective and commitment to a global bioregional movement. The nested scales of bioregionalism and where we find ourselves best placed to work within those. And the 3 objectives, 12 attributes, and 4 templates that the BioFi project is birthing and bringing into reality. And so we have, at 1 o'clock, we're going to gather back in this space for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and that session is to dive into the quote-unquote real programming. We're going to be having guided discussions amongst each other to really explore the relational ecosystem that we have gathered in the room today. And then around 2:15, our multi-programming will kick off, but for now, we'd love to invite you to come back into this space at 1 o'clock. In terms of lunch, the food cart is out there. There are snacks. If anyone needs to smoke, there's a smokers area straight out the back. And there are some restaurants from about half a mile away if you want to have a walk. And so, off you go, and we'll see you back here at 1. Oh yeah, and if you're cold, I've got a team building activity for you. There's 2 of these in each packet. You really only need 1. So if you get one, go find someone else and give the other one to them, and then you can just keep switching it from one pocket to another, and it really will keep you warm.